What's good, guys? So today we have my GJ trade that I took this week. I'm going to be talking about the fundamental reasons I took it, the technical reasons I took it, how I managed the trade, all that good stuff. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Yo, what's good, guys? Welcome to the chart of the pound Japanese yen. As you can see, had a crazy move down this week, 400 or 500 pips, something like that. Pretty crazy, or maybe even more than that. A crazy move this week in almost all markets, to be honest. Indexes, currencies, commodities, almost everything. Just had a very volatile week, which is great for traders. Maybe not so great for long-term investors, but regardless, we made a nice trade on GJ, which let me show you guys why I took it. Fundamentally, which I always like to start off with the fundamentals to get a nice picture of where things are at, and if there's a nice probability of the trade technically moving in my favor, right? Because price likes to follow the fundamentals, and if you get the fundamentals and technicals down right, those make very beautiful trades, and that just so happened to occur early on in the week for GJ. Sunday night, right up here, Sunday night, virus fears have died down. I called in my market update a while back that this thing will probably head higher, and we hit a high for the month, and just as it was breaking the high, the market opened Sunday, and we got news that the coronavirus, spread. Mostly it was just in China. Before this, it was mostly in China. Obviously, a few cases elsewhere, but the bulk of cases were in China, which was worrying to the global, global investors at first. But then, as you can see, fears died down. The yen is a safe haven, and when it's going up, usually there's not a whole lot of fear. And just to touch on that, the yen and the Swiss franc are safe haven currencies. Just a little FYI there. Meaning, when things are bad, these currencies, a lot of investors flock to them and they increase in value, which is what you saw this week. So, fundamentally, cases increased around the world, mostly Europe, Italy specifically, and then so that caused a nice move down Sunday night. And so Monday, I was looking at this to pull back and to take a short, because the reasoning I was looking that this was going to continue was there was quite a few cases that popped up, which obviously caused this nice flow down. And given how infectious the virus is, obviously we saw that in China, started off with 40 and now it's at 70, 80, 90,000. Supposedly, it might be even higher. It's China, who knows? So I knew with the amount of cases elsewhere, they were likely to go higher. And given how exponential viruses move, I knew there was a real potential for a major escalation of this, which of course we ended up getting. Stock market, it's down. Almost all stock markets are down almost 10% or more, which is crazy for a single week. But it's a good time to buy the dip. So if you guys got some extra cash laying around, I recommend you guys hopping the S&P. But that's basically it for the fundamentals. Just me thinking this virus is going to continue, spreading. Given the news that it was a lot more international than we thought previously. And then to touch on the pound as well, it's been fairly neutral for the most part. Brexit news hasn't really moved it a whole lot. It's just been sort of doing its own thing. However, another reason I felt a little bit better about taking this short was I knew later on in the week, right? I took this trade Monday. I knew later on in the week, roughly Wednesday or Thursday, the UK was supposed to release a trade mandate, and the EU already released theirs, which basically stated that they wanted the UK to follow certain rules and regulations of the EU in order to, find a deal and, all of that. And Boris Johnson and the UK are very much against that. That's, they said that that's the reason they got out in the first place. They don't want to have to follow EU's rules anymore. They left, like they're done. They broke up. They don't want to have, they don't want to have to text their ex anymore. So, oh God, that was a bad analogy, but you guys get the point. Basically, the UK released their mandate Wednesday. I knew that it most likely, well, the expectations were, it was going to clash, and it did. They basically said, we're not going to do that. We're not going to follow you guys' rules anymore. We want a free trade agreement. We want to, do things our way. And the EU, not really wanting to do that. They sort of feel like the UK wants a little too much. And Boris Johnson said that, he's fine with a no deal. If talks aren't going well, like, he's fine cutting them off, which obviously the markets aren't going to take too well to the pound. Obviously, a no deal, as we've seen in the past, really moves the pound. The fear of a no deal is, not good for the UK economy. So that gave me a little more of a bias to take this short, because I knew that was coming later on in the week. So for the fundamentals, fairly straightforward. Virus, fears increase, yen increase, GJ down. Pretty straightforward with the fundamentals for that. Nothing too crazy or complicated. So getting down into the technical side of things, let's start off with our zones, right? By the way, if you want to know how I do my zones, how I draw it, how to get some accurate ones, go ahead and check out my last video where I basically outlined how I do that and why I do that. It's around 20 minutes, so go ahead and check that out. But we had this nice upper area here of liquidity. Boom. So we had that nice zone that price likes to reject off of. We saw it try to break, but it didn't, and especially due to the news that came out, it fell, obviously. Next zone I wanted to highlight is this upper area here. Boom. Nice area of support or resistance turn support. So we got that. Just go like that. And then lastly, or not lastly, but second to last, we have this bottom area, which I didn't think would play a role in this trade, to be honest, because it's quite a ways away, and I didn't think that would happen anytime soon. But I had this zone anyway, so we have these main zones, and then there was a smaller zone if we go down to a lower time frame here that like to act as resistance. So let me just mark that off. Oh my god, whoops. Let me just mark that off here. Right, roughly around there. And then let's do boom. Okay, cool. So we had these main zones, and just to it's bothering me. I gotta get that little top area. Okay, cool. So this is how it looked. Price, when I was looking at this Monday, price fell down to this 200 moving average, broke through this, no problem. Well, a little bit of a pullback, broke through, and it was coming back up. And so I was looking to take a short from this zone down to roughly this area, which seemed like a pretty straightforward play. Technically, looked nice, fundamentals lined up. And then onto some trend lines here. I had a channel here drawn out. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I had it like somewhere in this region. I knew it wasn't really gonna matter for the trade, so let's just put it there. Really, the one I cared about was this lower area of the channel because it broke through, and I was looking for a retest, right? And basically, those are the only trend lines that were really relevant. Well, the only trend line that was really relevant to me taking this trade. So, yeah. Next, the fib. There was a nice fib you could have drawn from this low to this high. And the 78.6 lined up pretty perfect with this zone, the trend line, the fib level. Obviously, that wasn't the point where it got rejected, but it reacted to it. It reacted to it quite nice. And so I actually took my short there. I took my short, right here on the reaction from these levels. And it made sense technically. And so, I didn't want to miss the move. And so I took it short. My stop was above these moving averages. Well, let's look at it on the 1 hour here because I don't look at the 30-minute. It was above these moving averages and above this last high. So like roughly 80 pip stop. And using proper risk management, obviously I didn't risk more than 1 or 2%. Definitely not 2% on 80 pips. It was more like, 1. So risk management was there. And then as far as targets go, I used, which my favorite, form of targets is combining a zone with a fib extension. But if there isn't a zone, I really like using fib extensions because they seem to be pretty accurate. Price likes these 127.2 and 161.8. And so that was my target, was this zone and the 61.8, which gives me a little bit over a 2-to-1 risk reward. So I don't recommend, a trade any less than 2-to-1, preferably 2.5 to 3. Rarely do I ever, me personally, do I ever see a 4-to-1 or 5-to-1 risk reward. And that's mostly just because I like having my stop, I like giving myself enough room to breathe. Like in this trade, if I had a really tight stop, I would have got stopped out of this trade. So, and that's just me though. I like being safe. I like having it at a point where if I'm wrong, for the most part, I'm probably going to be wrong. As in, if it hits this, it's most likely going to continue going up. However, you don't want to have it too tight where it'll get hit and you could still be right, basically. On the flip side, you don't want to have it like anything crazy. So, a good medium. You got to find a balance. Trading is all about finding a balance, which, kind of sucks because that's sort of, it's hard to do, finding a balance between different things. Finding a balance between fundamentals and technicals, finding a balance between risk and reward, finding a balance between, how you manage positions, whether to take profits early, secure profits, or, let your profits run. It's all about finding a balance. You're going to make mistakes. That's fine. You just move on. Anyways, moving on. So this thing really was just consolidating for a good almost 2 days, a day or two. And didn't hit my stop, so it's just like whatever, boom, boom, boom. And then really what was happening here is I think there was a lot of accumulation going on in this area. And normally I would say it's just normal consolidation, but the reason I think there was a lot of accumulation going on is, one, we can see the extent of the move was, quite large. So I think big traders were really gearing up for that. And Second reason I think that was what was going on is right here. If you look, this was a nice area of support right here, and I'm sure traders were taking this short here, taking it short here, taking it short here, and a lot of stops were right above this. And what happened? Hit the stops and boom, boom, boom. Not that it really played a difference in how I traded it, but I just want to let you guys know, things like this happen. Stop hunts are real. Stop hunts are a very real thing, guys. Now, it's not going to affect you every trade. It's not going to affect you, you're not going to see it every day, but it happens. Just be on the lookout. Another, I forgot to mention, real quick, going back, the EMAs on the 1 hour really looking nice to take this thing short as well. The 200 was coming up, which is, by the way, stronger than the 50, and a bit stronger than the 100. So a nice area here that would also be an obstacle for price to break. And as you can see, it kind of was. Price didn't really want to break it. So that was another nice little confluence. And this thing was just boom, boom, boom. As the news came out that, it was increasing in the United States. It was increasing in Italy. There was new cases popping up all over the world, basically, which is, pretty scary stuff. So we saw a huge safe haven flow. And normally on a normal trade, when it hits my TP, I'd be out. It's a good trade, almost 200 pips, which is, it's a good trade. But the reason I left a small piece running on this one is because I saw how aggressive this thing was moving down. And I, sort of the same hypothesis I had when taking the trade. If cases are increasing, what's the most probable thing that's going to happen? They're going to keep increasing, right? It's a virus. It's very, a lot of exponential growth when it comes to, viruses, as we saw in China. So that gave me confidence to hold this thing down to this level, right? It was just crazy. And, the trend's your friend. When there's massive volatility like we had this week, I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, this thing could, maybe sink. And that's what happened. So I held, I took most off here. I didn't hold all of it. I took most off here, left like 20% running, not a whole lot running. And then once it reached this bottom zone, I got out because, I didn't even think it would get there at all. But given the course of events, it did. And I didn't know if it was going to break this zone, right? Because it's a very prominent area of support, going back all the way to October. So anyways, I got out. Nice trade, roughly 400 pips. The only regret I have, it was an amazing trade start to finish for the most part. Very straightforward. These are the trades I like looking for when everything just lines up. That's why I don't really trade all too often. I might take one or two swing trades a week. Sometimes not at all, because I like waiting for plays like this where everything just lines up nicely and some decent volatility is ahead and you take your odds. So I hope this helped, guys. I hope you learned something from it. And I put a poll out on my Instagram story about this. And I basically asked if you guys wanted to see this trade recap or if you wanted to see me do one on a loss, right? Because you learned a lot more from losses than winners for the most part. Like this trade, I can't really say I learned much from it. Like, it worked out. There's not a whole lot I could have done differently. Yes, I could have waited. My only gripe is I could have waited for a little bit better entry on this 61.8. This nice little zone. You had on top of that, it was a lot closer to the 200 moving average. So it would have been nice to get in at a better price. However, I also would have very much regretted it if I missed this very beautiful entry. So, like I said, it's about a balance, and I'm fine. I can live with the fact I got in right here because it looked good technically, fundamentally, it made sense, and I mean, you can't beat yourself up too much because, you don't have a crystal ball, and a lot of times, looking at people who got in at better, like I saw people who got in, right here, and I'm like, dang, but I can't really feel bad about my entry because one, it was profitable, my idea worked out, I was right, and two, like I said, I would have been kicking myself if I didn't get in right there because that's where my analysis took me. So, you know, it's fine. Don't beat yourself too up. Don't beat yourself up too much if you get in too early. Of course, if it happens a lot, then maybe take consideration of it. But if it's every once in a while, it's fine. Especially if you have wide enough stops, then you're gonna be good. Hope you guys learned from this. Like I was saying earlier, a few of you guys wanted to see me do one on a loss instead. So I was like, fuck yeah, I'll do both. So here's this recap. Hope you guys enjoyed. And then next time I have a loss, I will be posting about it because I don't really want to go back to like an old loss and do one just because I don't know. I won't really remember what I was thinking as much at the time. So yeah, next time I have a loss, for sure I'll be doing a recap on it because yeah, we learn a lot from our losses. So have a great weekend, guys. It's been a crazy week. So hope you guys ended up profitable, or if anything, you didn't lose too much because there were some really big moves this week. And take some time to rest. Reflect, analyze, and get ready to kill the market on Sunday night. Well, for me, it's Sunday night. For some of you guys, it's Monday. So enjoy your weekend. If you guys gained any value from this, I would really appreciate if you liked this video, and if you're not subscribed, if you want to see more videos like this, you are very much welcome to, because I will be posting more recaps, more tips, more just whatever. And yeah, have a great day.